I had nothing better to do, so I swung by the flower and bird market and picked up Vance's yellow canary. I'd barely gotten the cage settled when Best rang, voice-dripping gossip. Heard you've been hiding Vance's canary on the side. Must be seriously hung if you're keeping him under wraps. I pictured the chubby little fluff in the cage and answered honestly, Tiny. Best gasped, Tiny, and you still keep him? Your tastes are wild. I was genuinely confused. What's wrong with Tiny? I like that model. Vance's shriek burst from the phone. So that's your type. No wonder you and my brother are not. Turns out he's too, huh? I was speechless. The girl can turn any topic, black, white, or neutral, into neon porn. Before I could explain, my phone was snatched away and the call killed. I spun around. Julian stood against the light, sunset slicing his tall frame into Vance's razor-sharp silhouette. From my angle, the suit, the jawline, the everything was stupidly gorgeous. While I blinked, he leaned in, eyes locked on mine. So you like my finger, huh? My face combusted. I couldn't help staring at his long fingers. In Vance's blink, flashbacks flooded in. I pressed my knees together. When I stayed silent, he came closer. Your canary. Forget it, I don't want to hear. I didn't even get Vance's syllable out before he crashed his mouth onto mine, then switched to Vance's bite. Half temper tantrum, half punishment. Julian, what are you, Vance's rabid dog? I slapped Vance's hand over my swollen, stinging lip and shoved his chest, didn't budge. He stepped closer instead. I felt the assault, the ache, and squeaked, stop, I haven't showered. Julian laughed, straightened, and tugged his tie loose with one hand. The move was criminal-level sexy. I swallowed hard. Then I noticed, his eyes were faintly red, the pupils tunnel-deep in Vance's way I'd never seen. I shrank into the sofa corner, panic fluttering. He watched me, calm as ever. Serena, I'm about to do something completely out of line. I'm sorry, but I can't stop myself. I blinked, out of line how? Next second, I had the answer. He pinned me to the couch and trussed my wrists with his tie. 2 years of marriage. I'd never met this version. All I could think was tomorrow's headlines. Today on crime shows, billionaire husband murders wife. Panicking, I yelled, murder's illegal. We're married. If I've done something wrong, just say it, don't go full homicidal. He chuckled. Warm breath grazed my ear, voice low. Baby, your imagination is adorable. He started unbuttoning his shirt. I stammered in terror. What are you planning? Gonna smother me with your shirt? I know you're Vance's neat freak, but Vance's canary isn't Vance's capital offense. And I parked him at the Westside Villa. He'll never shed under your roof. The temperature in the room nosedived. Julian lifted his gaze, Adam's apple dropping hard. Then, while I braced for carnage, he kissed me again. Turned out Julian's out of line was galaxies past the line. I never imagined he was the do first, listen never, stop never brand. Wasn't he the icy gentleman husband? Wasn't he the standoffish CEO? Wasn't bedroom activity always polite and punctual? Lies. All lies. I was half numb, practically short-circuited, and he still had rocket fuel left. He even wiggled Vance's new dress onto me. Baby, didn't you beg to intern as my secretary? Let's test run this pencil skirt suit. I glanced down. My original outfit was crumpled, smeared, ruined. Fury flared, but my voice came out sandpaper. Get lost. I thrashed. Julian quit persuading, laid the suit on the carpet, and stalked forward. He knelt at the bedside, lifted my tie-reddened wrist, and kissed the welt like prayer read. I twisted away, not feeding his mania. He murmured to himself, first time, rookie mistake. Next round I'll use silk, better on skin. I barked. Vance laugh. Next round? In your dreams. He only smiled, then answered with heat, his mouth closing over the red stripe. Warm, ticklish. I begged, itches, seriously, stop. Julian tilted his head, serious all of Vance sudden. You stashed him at the Westside Villa? Means you don't love him that much. After the night you've had, even if you visit tomorrow you'll be wrecked, nothing's gonna happen, right? So all this time, Julian thought my canary was Vance's toy boy. True, I own Vance's canary. Vance bird, not man. At that instant, I decided, no explanations. Because Julian is Vance's closet psycho. If not for this screw-up, I'd never hear him call me baby or see him unravel like this. Our marriage is arranged. After grad school, I attended Vance's gala and met him. One look, done deal. He worked the old shark crowd with glacier-cool grace. When he left his phone, I volunteered courier service. Outside the restroom, he was smoking. Backlit haze, perfect loneliness, hook, line, sinker. He washed up, spotted me, and strolled over, half smile, half smoke. Heartbeat, sprint. Bonus, damp white shirt plastered to his abs. I gulped. He followed my stare, accepted his phone. You brought this? Lifesaver, I lose everything. I nodded, statue mode. Soaked fabric outlined every ridge. Maybe my gaze sizzled. He gave an awkward smile. Sorry, shirt suicide at the sink. Then, unhurried, he buttoned his jacket, one deliberate clasp after another. Refined, aloof, pure East Coast magnetism I'd never met overseas. I vowed, he will be mine. 6 months of shameless pursuit later, mission accomplished. When I woke again, Julian's side of the bed was empty. I opened WhatsApp, his messages were still unread. Sorry about last night, lost. Emergency business, back in 2 weeks. I stared at the screen and smiled, fingers tapping then deleting, until I finally answered with Vance flat K. On purpose. Who told him to go spiraling without asking, then think sorry makes it go away? When I stood my legs buckled and I almost hit the floor, I grabbed the nightstand, muttered jerk, and spotted Vance's tiny tube of ointment. Vance's sticky note lay under it in Julian's handwriting, clean and strong. Already ointment, reapply to your wrist at lunch, keep it dry. Pretty thoughtful for him. I carried the tube to the vanity and dabbed red in the glass. The woman in the mirror still had flushed eyes, swollen lips, faint bruises blooming along her throat, Julian's late-night evidence. In 2 years of marriage and 6 months of my chasing, I'd never seen him lost like that. Before, in bed or out, he stayed polite, restrained, kisses measured. As if I were only the arranged duty, never the beloved. But last night the possessive in his eyes, the panic in his voice, the way he kissed the red on my wrist like Vance's prayer, everything scorched me. So the man does have another gear. And the trigger was Vance Bird. My phone kept dinging. The housekeeper at the West Estate cottage had sent shots of the canary. Plump golden feathers, head cocked as it nibbled its own claw. Utterly adorable. Pity I can't keep it here. Julian's Vance neat freak. No extra creatures allowed indoors. I flipped through the photos, grinning, and whipped up Vance post. Got my canary late, should have done it sooner for the free joy. If Julian misunderstood, fine. Let him wonder. He'd woken up and flown off on business for 2 weeks, as if I don't know how to play too. At noon best Letitia summoned me for lunch. I grabbed my bag and went. Your Majesty, you march in here flaunting red, aren't you bullying your queen and your Julian favorite? The second I sat she tugged my collar, hunting for clues. I slapped her hand away. Your brother's broken. She froze. Like, can't perform? So you've ordered Vance's toy? I leveled Vance's stare. Sit, little monster, and talk like Vance person. Letitia's smirk returned. Fine, share the loot. How hot's your canary? Smoking, I deadpanned. Round eyes, sings on command, total emotional support. She gaped, then squealed, holy hell, Vance puppy type? Serena, you legend. I bit back laughter. She leaned in. Where do I enlist? I'll pay top dollar for that unit. I swirled my coffee. Northside Pet Market. I mean an actual canary. Bird stall, best one already in my living room. Bull. She dropped her voice. Truth, I swear I won't narc to Julian. Get your mind out of the gutter, Letitia. Her eyes slid to my neck. So the red, it's Julian? Rough night? Yep, I sighed. Man's got issues. Serena. She studied me. What if he's secret you? He saw that post, went jealous, lost it? I pressed Vance's palm to her forehead. No fever, so why the delirium? You know how hard I chased, how icy he's been. We're arranged, he settled. She clasped my hand. But you adore that cool, distant act, right? Maybe last night was the real him, and before was just camouflage to reel you in. Cute theory. I nagged him into this marriage, remember? I pulled back and lounged on the sofa. Letitia's grin turned wicked. Only one way to test it. I raised an eyebrow. She giggled. For the next few days we hit every party in town, photos flooding my feed, outfits from demure to scandalous, posted the second we stepped out. But the bastard Julian stayed ice cold, answering in monosyllables, never liked thing. As if that night had been Vance's hallucination. Even on video he looked bored, granting me the minimum syllables. After Vance week I quit. Plenty of fish, I trade when I'm bored. Might as well score some fun. On the same wavelength, Letitia invited me for cocktails. The rooftop shimmered, bass pounding against our ribs. Cheers. 2 years married to my iceberg brother, hard labor. She clinked my glass. I drained mine. Not rough. Your brother delivers, lights off, still fireworks. Humans are weird, I yelled over the beat. Senior year I hunted the untouchable prince, married the glacier. Now I'm greedy, I want him blazing back at me. Nothing weird. Letitia slapped the table, booze flaming her voice. Love is possession. Own your greedy, divorce him if you must. Don't let Julian freeze you out. I laughed, finger tracing condensation. Divorce? Hasn't crossed my mind. Truth? I think Julian's crazy for you. Letitia leaned in, voice dropped to Vance whisper. Remember when you were chasing him and always waited under his office building? I came by several times and saw him standing at the window, eyes locked on the bench where you Saturday. Another time it rained, you had no umbrella and got drenched downstairs. He told me, have my assistant take her an umbrella, then grabbed one himself, went down, and pretended he just happened to bump into you. I stared, fragments flickering through my mind. There was that afternoon, rain pelting, soaking me fast. Julian appeared, black umbrella in hand, trouser hem splattered with mud yet posture razor straight. All he'd said was get in. Flat, matter of fact. I'd figured he was simply leaving work and offered shelter on Vance's whim. And all those presents, things you offhandedly mentioned, he hunted down for you. Any rich guy can pay, but remembering your random comments? Total closet romantic. You're making this up. My throat tightened, the liquor rushed to my head and stung my eyes. If he liked me, why did he freeze me out after we married? That wasn't coldness, it was bait. Letty tapped my forehead. He was scared you'd tire of him once the chase ended. You know your rep in our circle, easily bored, curiosity addict, refuses to lose, spot Vance challenge, pounce, the taller the pedestal, the better. Julian checked every box, so he became my exception, the one I pursued for ages and still wasn't sick of after 2 years of marriage. I kept silent, lifted my glass, and downed another gulp. The alcohol swirled, the ceiling lights blurred into pinwheels. I pulled out my phone, snapped the table littered with glasses, and posted, "Drinking alone is lame. Hubby's away, anyone care to join?" I tossed the phone aside the moment it uploaded. Letty grinned wickedly. "Jamie, you're baiting my brother. Aren't you scared he'll punish you? Why bother baiting? If he doesn't care, neither do I." Yet barely 5 minutes later my phone rang. Julian flashed on screen, I blinked and swiped. "Where are you?" His voice was deeper than usual, edged with Vance rasp. "Rooftop, cocktails with your sister." "Why?" Vance pause. "Send me the address." "Aren't you on Vance's business trip, flying back just to collar me?" "The address." No nonsense, pure steel beneath the courtesy. My stomach fluttered, but I texted him the location. I hung up, Letty raised Vance's brow. "My brother? Thought he was away. Who knows, maybe he's bored." I shrugged, but most of my buzz had vanished. "Humph. I'm almost jealous. You landed the good guy, my boyfriends never care." "Don't leave, okay?" Only my gym teacher ever said that. 40 minutes later the chatter around us dimmed. I looked up, Julian stood behind me. Black coat, shoulders squared, face unreadable while his gaze swept over us like Vance's scanner. Letty winked, I caught the cue, playing drunk. Julian shot his sister Vance glare, bent, and scooped me into his arms. "Julian. Put me down." I squeaked and looped my arms around his neck on reflex. Home. Clipped, icy, yet his eyes flickered with something close to panic. "I haven't finished drinking." I wriggled, he only held tighter. "No more alcohol." He looked at Letty. "Take care of yourself," then carried me out. "Bro, be straight with Serena. Stop acting aloof or she'll run," Letty called after us. Julian paused for half Vance beat but kept walking. Every patron stared, my cheeks burned as I buried my face in his chest, feeling the steady thud of his heart. The night air slapped me sober, I shivered. He tucked me into the car, draped his coat over my shoulders, cedar and frost clinging to the wool. Sliding behind the wheel, he started the engine without Vance's word, only the motor hummed between us. I studied his profile under passing streetlights, sharp jaw, knuckles taut on the steering wheel, my finger obsession ignited again. "Why'd you come back?" "Business wrapped." "Cool, eyes on the road." "So fast?" "Thought you needed 2 weeks." Vance beat. "Always planned to finish today." I pouted, but sugar pooled in my chest. Letty's words echoed, maybe he did care. At the house he killed the engine. Can you walk? Legs like jelly, I still insisted. Absolutely. I stumbled the instant my heels hit the pavers. He caught my waist and lifted me again into the elevator. Inside, he set me on the sofa, brought warm water. I sipped, watching him hover across the coffee table, hands in pockets, conflict swirling behind his eyes. What did you post? He asked suddenly. Nothing, just Vance's picture of my cocktails. I blinked innocent. The husband's away, anyone want to come over? He echoed my WhatsApp caption, voice tinged with acid. I smirked inside, then baited him. Sure, tons of people asked. I said no, married woman here. His expression softened Vance's fraction, but the frown stayed. No more cocktails in places like that. It's dangerous, and if you go again I'll punish you. You think you can order me around? I challenged on purpose. He stepped in, leaned down until his breath brushed my face, eyes dark. I'm your husband. If I don't, who will? His scent hit me and my heart sprinted. I used to think my craving for him was only skin deep. Now the feelings part was catching up, fast. I closed the gap, yanked his loosened tie, and whispered against his ear, fine, then you're stuck managing me for life. Every muscle in him locked. I shot him Vance pout, looped my arms around his neck, pressed closer. But I was naughty tonight, went to rooftop. Still planning to punish me? We were so close I felt his reaction instantly. My hand started to trail south when he suddenly shoved me back. That night, he paused, voice low. I didn't mean it. I was lost. Lost why? I tipped my chin. Because of the canary you keep? His gaze flickered, silence said yes. Julian, I gathered courage, are you in love with me? He went rigid, eyes snapping to mine, shock and panic blazing, like Vance's secret exposed. He opened his mouth, swallowed the words, then turned away, voice rough, you've had cocktails. Go to bed. I caught his hand, pushed him onto the couch, questions spilling, Julian, what is wrong with you? Split personality? Can we even survive this marriage? While he floundered I kept going, Ice King CEO, devoted husband, twisted deviant that night, which one is real? He said nothing, but his eyes turned black as storm clouds. The air froze. Julian held my gaze with Vance's do-or-die intensity, all of those are me. If you rip the mask off now, there's no exit. Sure you want that? Liquid courage turned me into Vance's starting rooster. I rose to the bait. Real face? Tear it off, let me see. I lunged and kissed him. In Vance's flash his hand clamped the back of my head and he returned the kiss, ferocious and desperate. Teeth, tongues, Vance's salt-slick tinge, sweat or tears, who knew? When I finally pushed for air, he let go. He traced my swollen lips with Vance's thumb, eyes bottomless and greedy, the hunter sealing the trap. Come. He hauled me up by the wrist, heat searing my skin, no chance of escape. I stumbled after him, through the living room, up the stairs, onto the roof, and into Vance's hidden I never knew existed. Behind the hidden lay Vance's narrow room. He snapped on the ceiling light. Dim bulbs revealed half-opened boxes and scattered canvases, Vance's damp heaviness in the air. Julian pressed Vance's hidden switch. Vance's wall sconce glowed, spotlighting Vance's shelf that made my stomach drop. Top row, stacks of photos, all me. Group shots from senior year, he'd cut everyone else out, leaving only my ponytailed grin. More from my overseas campus, obviously candid. Even Vance's side profile someone snapped at my office and dropped in the company chat, now laminated in pristine plastic. Lower shelves hoarded my belongings. My senior calculus notebook. Vance's bracelet I'd once given Letitia. The silk scarf I thought I'd lost in the break room last month, folded square and boxed in velvet. My throat closed, words vanished. He'd been hunting me long before I noticed. Julian wrapped his arms around me from behind, chin on my collarbone, breath burning and unsteady. I've worked so hard to become exactly who you'd want. Why do you still need that toy? Toy came out gnashed, jealousy warping into something sick. What does he have? More money? Prettier face? Can he love you harder than I do? He spun me, fingers biting my shoulders, eyes blood-rimmed. Do you know I've been spiraling since the canary rumor started? I kept telling myself, she's here, that's enough. But I can't. His madness froze me. I inched back. He yanked me flush, voice Vance's destructive vow, you asked if I like you? I'm past like, I can't exist without you. The first time I saw you in school, head bent over Vance's book, sunlight in your hair, I thought, I'm finished. He kissed me again, ruthless, metallic blood on our tongues, refusing to stop. He lowered me onto the photo-strewn carpet, pinned my wrists above my head, possessive tides in his eyes. You're mine, only mine. I would have played your perfect gentleman forever. You forced my hand. By now the truth slammed into me. The finest predator pretends to be prey. He'd disguised himself as the quarry, and I for it. I pushed trembling fingers through his hair, gasping, wait, one more question. He stilled. I stared into his eyes. When did you start loving me, Senior? He said. I frowned. I don't remember you at all. He hesitated, then answered, you just didn't see me. Somehow, his tone sounded almost resentful. Curious, I pressed, then why didn't you chase me? Why didn't you tell me? He laughed. Back then my family was still dirt poor, we couldn't even reach the threshold. Being with you would have been climbing way up. I suddenly remembered, Julian's family had only struck it rich these last few years off new energy deals. Before that, our crowd had never heard of them. I'd only met his sister because we studied abroad together. No wonder he'd never registered on my radar. I couldn't help muttering, so while I was chasing you for 6 months, were you secretly laughing at me? He smiled. No, I got mad. If everyone hadn't blown your cover this time, were you planning to hide it from me forever? He nodded. You don't like my type. From senior year through college, every guy you dated was the same, cool, elegant, bookish. I blinked. Did it ever cross your mind that maybe I wanted someone to love me as fiercely as I loved them? Now it was his turn to freeze. What if I changed types and you ran? Your 2 exes are proof, together Vance few days and then it was over. I was stunned. You knew all that? Like he wanted to end the talk and launch an assault, he pressed on. Yeah. So I had to keep you curious, only non-stop novelty would keep you hooked for life. Damn. He knew me too well. Game over. I flopped flat and played dead. After Vance's round of reckless fooling around, we lay on the carpet, spent. Motionless, we stared at the ceiling. He suddenly spoke. Last? If the real me scares you, you can still go. I said nothing, just tilted my head to look at him. He tilted his head back. Final ask, last? I'll count down from 3. Before you can still walk. After, you're stuck. I stayed silent, watching him. His fingers trembled. 3, 2, 1. I couldn't help pinching his cheek. 3 seconds aren't that fast. He pulled me into his arms. I said I'd count to 3. I never said 1 second per count. Vance's stretch of quiet. I broke it again. Want to see my canary? In an instant I felt his body go rigid. I scrambled up. Coming or not? I bought it at the bird market, gorgeous. He swallowed hard, disbelieving. Vance real, live canary? I nodded. 1 hour later, West Side Villa. I dragged Julian over, pointed at the bird in its cage, and teased him on purpose. Pretty, right? Not expensive breed, but I adore it. His Adam's apple bobbed, eyes dark and stormy. This is the thing? Yep, my little. I reached in to tease the bird, then glanced at Julian. Why you're not messing with me? He pointed at the cage, voice shaking, all that former craziness gone, replaced by pure embarrassment. What else? I doubled over laughing. What did you think? Which toy could match your capital, money, looks, and genuine goods? Julian's face actually flushed, he wanted to vanish. He opened his mouth, shut it, scratched his nose, and mumbled, I thought I'd kept Vance's toy? I leaned to his ear, imitating his own ominous tone, jealous to spiraling, planning to lock me away. He went stiff, shot me Vance's glare equal parts shame and fury, but with 0 ammo. Who told you to say you were keeping Vance's canary? I meant the bird. You guys overlaid the drama. I laughed until tears came and patted his shoulder. Julian, you're so adorable. He stayed silent, eyes locked on the yellow songbird, expression complicated, like he was glaring at Vance's rival. The bird, fearless, chirped twice more, bright and clear, as if mocking him. I kept cracking up. He suddenly hugged me from behind, chin on my shoulder, voice muffled. Stop laughing. I can't help it. I stifled Vance's giggle and teased, but silly you, one search would have told you my canary was literal. His arms tightened, possessive and aggrieved. I didn't dare. You wouldn't get it, like fearing your hometown, like waiting for Vance's bittersweet answer from the one you love. I turned, stood on tiptoe, and kissed his reddened ear. All right, my fault. I won't tease you again. He looked down at me, the wildness had ebbed, leaving only tenderness and lingering fear. Thank God it's Vance Bird. I laughed out loud. If it had been Vance real guy, what would you have done? His gaze sobered, unyielding. Then he'd disappear, far away, never show his face again. The words were harsh, the tone all care. From that day Julian quit the cool, elegant act. He'd stick to me openly. When I was working he'd sit nearby reading files, slipping fruit into my mouth. When I played with the canary he'd shuffle over, nudge the cage aside, muttering too. The collections in his study were arranged in neat glass cases. I'd flip through those photos with everyone else cropped out, he'd blush. I didn't dare approach you then, this was the only way I could watch. He still got jealous. If I chatted Vance bit with Vance male colleague, he'd come home sullen, cuddle me, and say, see less of him from now on. One night, curled in his arms, I leafed through old pictures and stopped at Vance's senior year shot of me in Vance's ponytail. Where were you sitting? I honestly don't remember. He pointed to Vance's clipped edge of the photo, voice soft. Third row, diagonally behind you. Every day I could see your ponytail, sunlight on the tips, beautiful. You should have been braver then, we might have gotten together sooner. Not. He hugged me tighter. I prefer who I am now. I can give you everything you want. I lifted my face to kiss him. He answered gentle and devout, no longer frantic, just steady, lasting certainty. From the balcony the canary trilled, bright as ever. Moonlight spilled through the window, bathing the memories lining the study, and our clasped hands. Thanks for listening to today's story. On Vance's scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more great stories. See you next time.